Hello and welcome. My name is Michael Dickerson, call sign KC9PHK. Today I'm here on behalf of the Clay County Area Amateur Radio Club, and the new general class question pool went into effect July the 1st, 2019. So this will be in effect until 2023. So we'll go ahead and cover these slides. Videos will vary in length of time. This one has a little over 100 slides in it, so let's get started. Hopefully make this video not too long. Alright, here we go. First off, we're covering sub-element G1. We'll try to cover all of these things. First off today, G1 covers the commission's rules. G1A specifically is the sub-element we're going to cover today. General class control operator frequency privileges, primary and secondary allocations. First question, G1A01. On which HF/MF bands is a general class license holder granted all amateur frequency privileges? A. 60 meters, 20 meters, 17 meters, and 12 meters. Or B. 160 meters, 80 meters, 40 meters, and 10 meters. C. 160 meters, 60 meters, 30 meters, 17 meters, 12 meters, and 10 meters. Or D. 160 meters, 30 meters, 17 meters, 15 meters, 12 meters, and 10 meters. Correct answer is C. 160 meters, 60 meters, 30 meters, 17 meters, 12 meters, and 10 meters. Next question, G1A02. On which of the following bands is phone operation prohibited? Not allowed. A. 160 meters, B. 30 meters, C. 17 meters, or D. 12 meters. Correct answer is B. 30 meters. G1A03. On which of the following bands is image transmission prohibited? A. 160 meters, B. 30 meters, C. 20 meters, or D. 12 meters. Once again, the correct answer is B. 30 meters. G1A04. Which of the following amateur bands is restricted to communication only on specific channels rather than frequency ranges? A. 11 meters, B. 12 meters, C. 30 meters, or D. 60 meters. Correct answer here is D. 60 meters. 60 meters is channelized. G1A05. Which of the following frequencies is in the general class portion of the 40 meter band in the ITU region 2? A. 7.250 megahertz, B. 7.500 megahertz, C. 40.200 megahertz, or D. 40.500 megahertz. Correct answer here is A. 7.250 megahertz. G1A06 says which of the following frequencies is within the general class portion of the 75 meter phone band? A. 1,875 kilohertz, B. 3,750 kilohertz, C. 3,900 kilohertz, or D. 4,005 kilohertz. Correct answer here is C. 3,900 kilohertz. G1A07. Which of the following frequencies is within the general class portion of the 20 meter phone band? A. 14,005 kilohertz, B. 14,105 kilohertz, C. 14,305 kilohertz, or D. 14,405 kilohertz. Correct answer here, C. 14,305 kilohertz. G1A08. Which of the following frequencies is within the general class portion of the 80 meter band? A. 1,855 kilohertz, B. 2,560 kilohertz, C. 3,560 kilohertz, or D. 3,650 kilohertz. Correct answer here is C. 3,560 kilohertz. G1A09. Which of the following frequencies is within the general class portion of the 15 meter band? A. 14,250 kilohertz, B. 18,155 kilohertz, C. 21,300 kilohertz, or D. 24,900 kilohertz. Correct answer here is C. 21,300 kilohertz. G1A10, which of the following frequencies is available to a control operator holding a general class license? A. 28.020 MHz, B. 28.350 MHz, C. 28.550 MHz, or D. All of these choices are correct. Correct answer here is D. All of these choices are correct. G1A11. When general class licensees are not permitted to use the entire voice portion of a band, which portion of the voice segment is generally available to them? A. The lower frequency end. B. The upper frequency end. C. The lower frequency end on frequencies below 7.3 MHz and the upper end on frequencies above 14.150 MHz. Or D. The upper frequency end on frequencies below 7.3 MHz and the lower end on frequencies above 14.150 MHz. Correct answer here is B. The upper frequency end. G1A12. Which of the following applies when the FCC rules designate the amateur service as a secondary user on a band? A. Amateur stations must record the call sign of the primary service station before operating on a frequency assigned to that station. B. Amateur stations can use the band only during emergencies. C. Amateur stations can use the band only if they do not cause harmful interference to primary users. Or D. Amateur stations may only operate during specific hours of the day, while primary users are permitted 24-hour use of the band. Correct answer is C. Amateur stations can use the band only if they do not cause harmful interference to primary users. G1A13. What is the appropriate action if, when operating on either the 30-meter or 60-meter bands, a station in the primary service interferes with your contact? A. Notify the FCC's regional engineer in charge of the interference. B. Increase your transmitter's power to overcome the interference. C. Attempt to contact the station and request that it stop the interference. Or D. Move to a clear frequency or stop transmitting. Correct answer D. Move to a clear frequency or stop transmitting. GA14. Which of the following may apply in areas under FCC jurisdiction outside of the ITU Region 2? A. Station identification may have to be in a language other than English. B. Morse code may not be permitted. C. Digital transmissions may not be permitted. Or D. Frequency allocations may differ. D. Frequency allocations may differ. G1A15. Which portion of the 10-meter band is available for repeater use? A. The entire band. B. The portion between 28.1 MHz and 28.2 MHz. C. The portion between 28.3 MHz and 28.5 MHz. Or D. The portion above 29.5 MHz. The answer, D. The portion above 29.5 MHz. G1B covers antenna structure limitations, good engineering and good amateur practice, beacon operation, prohibited transmissions, and retransmitting radio signals. G1B01. What is the maximum height above ground to which an antenna structure may be erected without requiring notification to the FAA and registration with the FCC, provided it is not at or near a public use airport? A. 50 feet. B. 100 feet. C. 200 feet. Or D. 300 feet. Correct answer is C. 200 feet. G1B02. Which of the following conditions must beacon stations comply? A. A beacon station may not use automatic control. B. The frequency must be coordinated with the National Beacon Organization. C. The frequency must be posted on the internet or published in a national periodical. D. There must be no more than one beacon signal transmitting in the same band from the same location. Correct answer here is D. There must be no more than one beacon signal transmitting in the same band from the same station location. G1B03. Which of the following is a purpose of a beacon station as identified in the FCC rules? A. Observation of propagation and reception. B. Automatic identification of repeaters. C. Transmission of bulletins of general interest to amateur radio licensees. Or D. Identifying net frequencies. Correct answer A. Observation of propagation and reception. G1B04. Which of the following transmissions is permitted? A. Unidentified transmissions for test purposes only. B. Retransmission of other amateur station signals by any amateur station. C. Occasional retransmission of weather and propagation forecast information from U.S. government stations. D. Coded messages of any kind if not intended to facilitate a criminal act. Correct answer is C. Occasional retransmission of weather and propagation forecast information from U.S. government stations. G1B05. Which of the following one-way transmissions are permitted? A. An unidentified test transmission of less than 1 minute in duration. B. Transmissions necessary to assist learning the International Morse code. C. Regular transmissions offering equipment for sale if intended for amateur radio use. Or D. All of these choices are correct. Correct answer is B. Transmission necessary to assist learning the International Morse code. G1B06. Under what conditions are state and local governments permitted to regulate amateur radio antenna structures? A. Under no circumstances, FCC rules take priority. B. At any time and to any extent necessary to accomplish a legitimate purpose of the state or local entity, provided the proper filings are made with the FCC. C. Only when the structures exceed 50 feet in height and are clearly visible 1,000 feet from the structure. Or D. Amateur service communications must be reasonably accommodated and regulations must constitute the minimum practical to accommodate a legitimate purpose of the state or local entity. Correct answer is D. Amateur service communications must be reasonably accommodated and regulations must constitute the minimum practical to accommodate a legitimate purpose of the state or local entity. G1B07. What are the restrictions on the use of abbreviations or procedural signals in the amateur service? A. Only Q signals are permitted. B. They may be used if they do not obscure the meaning of a message. C. They are not permitted. Or D. Only 10 codes are permitted. Correct answer B. They may be used if they do not obscure the meaning of a message. G1B08. When choosing a transmitting frequency, what should you do to comply with good amateur practice? A. Ensure that the frequency and mode selected are within your license class privileges. B. Follow generally accepted band plans agreed to by the amateur radio community. C. Monitor the frequency before transmitting. Or D. All of these choices are correct. Correct answer is D. All of these choices are correct. G1B09. On what HF frequencies are automatically controlled beacons permitted? A. On any frequency if power is less than 1 watt. B. On any frequency if transmissions are in Morse code. C. 21.08 MHz to 21.09 MHz. Or D. 28.20 MHz to 28.30 MHz. Correct answer is D. 28.20 MHz to 28.30 MHz. G1B10. What is the power limit for beacon stations? A. 10 watts PEP output. B. 20 watts PEP output. C. 100 watts PEP output. Or D. 200 watts PEP output. Correct answer C. 100 watts PEP output. G1B11. Who or what determines good engineering and good amateur practice as applied to the operation of an amateur station in all aspects not covered by the Part 9.7 rules? A. The FCC. B. The control operator. C. The IEEE. Or D. The ITU. Correct answer is A. The FCC. G1B12. When is it permissible to communicate with amateur stations in countries outside the areas administered by the Federal Communications Commission? A. Only when the foreign government has a formal third-party agreement filed with the FCC. B. When the contact is with amateurs in any country except those whose administrations have filed or have notified the ITU that they object to such communications. C. When the contact is with amateurs in any country as long as the communication is conducted in English. Or D. Only when the foreign country is a member of the International Amateur Radio Union. Correct answer B. When the contact is with amateurs in any country except those whose administrations have notified the ITU that they object to such communications. G1C covers transmitter power regulations, data emission standards, 60-meter operation requirements. G1C01. What is the maximum transmitting power of an amateur station on 10.140 MHz? A. 200 watts peak envelope power output. B. 1000 watts peak envelope power output. C. 1500 watts peak envelope power output. Or D. 2000 watts peak envelope power output. Correct answer is A. 200 watts peak envelope power output. G1C02, what is the maximum transmitter power of an amateur station may use on the 12 meter band? A. 50 watts peak envelope power output. B. 200 watts peak envelope power output. C. 1500 watts peak envelope power output. Or D. An affected radiated power equivalent to 100 watts from a half-wave dipole. Correct answer here, C. 1500 watts peak envelope power output. G1C03, what is the maximum bandwidth permitted by the FCC rules for amateur radio stations transmitting on upper sideband frequencies in the 60 meter band? A. 2.8 kHz. B. 5.6 kHz. C. 1.8 kHz. Or D. 3 kHz. Correct answer here is A. 2.8 kHz. G1C04, which of the following limitations apply to transmitter power on every amateur band? A. Only the minimum power necessary to carry out the desired communications should be used. B. Power must be limited to 200 watts when using data transmissions. C. Power should be limited as necessary to avoid interference to another radio service on the frequency. Or D. Effective radiated power cannot exceed 1500 watts. Correct answer is A. Only the minimum power necessary to carry out the desired communication should be used. G1C05, what is the limit for transmitter power on the 28 MHz band for a general class control operator? A. 100 watts PEP output. B. 1000 watts PEP output. C. 1500 watts PEP output. Or D. 2000 watts PEP output. Correct answer here is C. 1500 watts PEP output. G1C06, what is the limit for a transmitter power on the 1.8 MHz band? A. 200 watts PEP output. B. 1000 watts PEP output. C. 1200 watts PEP output. Or D. 1500 watts PEP output. Correct answer here is D. 1500 watts PEP output. G1C07, what is the maximum symbol rate permitted for RTTY or data emissions transmission on the 20 meter band? A. 56 kilobaud. B. 19.6 kilobaud. C. 1200 baud. Or D. 300 baud. Correct answer D. 300 baud. G1C08, what is the maximum symbol rate permitted for RTTY or data emission transmitted at frequencies below 28 MHz? A. 56 kilobaud. B. 19.6 kilobaud. C. 1200 baud. Or D. 300 baud. Correct answer D. 300 baud. G1C09, what is the maximum symbol rate permitted for RTTY or data emissions transmitted on the 1.25 meter and 70 centimeter bands? A. 56 kilobaud. B. 19.6 kilobaud. C. 1200 baud. Or D. 300 baud. Correct answer here is A. 56 kilobaud. G1C10, what is the maximum symbol rate permitted for RTTY or data emission transmissions on the 10 meter band? A. 56 kilobaud. B. 19.6 kilobaud. C. 1200 baud. Or D. 300 baud. Correct answer here is C. 1200 baud. G1C11, what is the maximum symbol rate permitted for RTTY or data emissions on the 2 meter band? A. 56 kilobaud. B. 19.6 kilobaud. C. 1200 baud. Or D. 300 baud. Answer here is B. 19.6 kilobaud. G1C12, which of the following is required by the FCC rules when operating in the 60 meter band? A. If you are using an antenna other than a dipole, you must keep a record of the gain of your antenna. B. You must keep a record of the date, time, frequency, power level, and stations worked. C. You must keep a record of all third-party traffic. Or D. You must keep a record of the manufacturer of your equipment and the antenna used. Answer here A. If you are using an antenna other than a dipole, you must keep a record of the gain of your antenna. G1C13. What must be done before using a new digital protocol on the air? A. Type-certify equipment to FCC standards. B. Obtain an experimental license from the FCC. C. Publicly document the technical characteristics of the protocol. Or D. Submit a rule-making proposal to the FCC describing the code and methods of the technique. Correct answer C. Publicly document the technical characteristics of the protocol. G1C14. What is the maximum power limit on the 60-meter band? A. 1500 watts PEP. B. 10 watts RMS. C. ERP of 100 watts PEP with respect to a dipole. Or D. ERP of 100 watts PEP with respect to an isotropic antenna. Correct answer here is C. ERP of 100 watts peak envelope power with a respect to a dipole. G1C15. What measurement is specified by FCC rules that regulate maximum power output? A. RMS. B. Average. C. Forward. Or D. PEP. Correct answer D. PEP. Abbreviated as peak envelope power. G1D covers volunteer examiners and volunteer examiner coordinators, temporary identification, and element credit. First up, G1D01. Who may receive partial credit for the elements represented by an expired amateur radio license? A. Any person who can demonstrate that they once held an FCC-issued general, advanced, or amateur extra class that was not revoked by the FCC. B. Anyone who held an FCC-issued amateur radio license that has been expired for not less than 5 years and not more than 15. C. Any person who previously held an amateur license issued by another country, but only if that country has current reciprocal licensing agreement with the FCC. Or D. Only persons who once held an FCC-issued novice, technician, or technician plus license. Actual answer here is A. Any person who can demonstrate that they once held an FCC-issued general, advanced, or amateur extra class license that was not revoked by the FCC. G1D02. What license examinations may you administer when you are an accredited VE holding a general class operator license? A. General and technician. B. General only. C. Technician only. Or D. Amateur extra, general, and technician. Correct answer here is C. Technician only. G1D03. On which of the following band segments may you operate if you are a technician class operator and have a certificate of successful completion of examination, also abbreviated as CSCE, for general class privileges? A. Only the technician band segments until your upgrade is posted on the FCC database. B. Only the technician band segments until your license arrives in the mail. C. On any general or technician class band segment. Or D. On any general or technician class band segment except 30 meters and 60 meters. Correct answer, on any general or technician class band segment. Once you've got that paper in your hand, you're good to go. G1D04. Which of the following is a requirement for administering a technician class license examination? A. At least 3 general class or higher VEs must observe the examination. B. At least 2 general class or higher VEs must be present. C. At least 2 general class or higher VEs must be present, but only one need be amateur extra class. D. At least 3 VEs of technician class or higher must observe the examination. Correct answer here is A. At least 3 general class or higher VEs must observe the examination. G105. Which of the following must a person have before they can be an administering VE for a technician class license exam? A. Notification to the FCC that you want to give an examination. B. Receipt of a certificate of successful completion of examination for a general class. C. Possession of a properly obtained telegraphy license, or D, an FCC general class or higher license and VEC accreditation. Correct answer is D, an FCC general class or higher license and VEC accreditation. G1D06, when must you add the special identifier AG after your call sign if you are a technician class licensee and have a certificate of successful completion of examination for general class operator privileges, but the FCC has not yet posted your upgrade on its website? A, whenever you operate using general class frequency privileges. B, whenever you operate on any amateur frequency. C, whenever you operate using technician frequency privileges. Or D, a special identifier is not required if your general class license application has been filed with the FCC. Correct answer here is A, whenever you operate using general class frequency privileges. G1D07, volunteer examiners are accredited by what organization? A, the Federal Communications Commission. B, the Universal Licensing System. C, a volunteer examiner coordinator. Or D, the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau. Correct answer is C, a volunteer examiner coordinator. G1D08, which of the following criteria must be met for a non-U.S. citizen to be accredited volunteer examiner? A, the person must be a resident of the U.S. for a minimum of 5 years. B, the person must hold an FCC granted amateur radio license of general class or above. C, the person's home citizenship must be in ITU Region 2. Or D, none of these choices is correct. A non-U.S. citizen cannot be a volunteer examiner. Correct answer is B, the person must hold an FCC granted amateur radio license of general class or above. G1D09, how long is a certificate of successful completion of examination valid for exam element credit? A, 30 days. B, 180 days. C, 365 days. Or D, as long as your current license is valid. Correct answer, C, 365 days. G1D10, what is the minimum age that one must be to qualify as an accredited volunteer examiner? A, 12 years. B, 18 years. C, 21 years. Or D, there is no age limit. Correct answer, B, 18 years old. G1D11, what is required to obtain a new general class license after previously held license has expired and the 2-year grace period has passed? A, they must have a letter from the FCC showing they once held an amateur or commercial license. B, there is no requirement other than being able to show a copy of the expired license. C, the applicant must be able to produce a copy of a page from a call book published in the U.S. showing his or her name and address. Or D, the applicant must pass the current element 2 exam. Correct answer is D, the applicant must pass the current element 2 exam. Alright, that will conclude the first segment. As I explained, there were quite a few slides in here, and we'll try to keep them as fast as possible. I know that most people do not like long YouTube videos, and I try to make them short. So thank you, and please join us as we continue to develop more of them.